The old woman sat in the observation deck of the colony ship and watched the stars pass by. Her name was Elena Vasquez, and she was 103 years old. She was also one of the last humans alive who had been born on Earth. Her granddaughter sat beside her, holding her wrinkled hand. The young woman's name was Sophia, and she had never seen Earth. She had only heard stories. "Tell me again, grandmother," Sophia said softly. "Tell me about the day we left." Elena closed her eyes. The memories were 300 years old, but they burned inside her like fresh fire. She had been a child of 3 when the Vethrak came. She remembered very little, but what she remembered, she would never forget. The Vethrak were not like anything humanity had imagined when they dreamed of alien life. They were tall creatures with gray skin like stone. Their eyes were black and empty. They did not come to talk. They did not come to trade. They came to take. Their ships appeared in the sky one summer morning. Thousands of them. They blocked out the sun and turned day into night. People looked up and felt fear like they had never known before. The Vethrak sent no message. They made no demands. They simply began to kill. Their weapons turned cities to ash in seconds. New York burned. Tokyo burned. London, Paris, Cairo, Mumbai, all the great cities of Earth died in the first week. Billions of people were gone before anyone could understand what was happening. Humanity fought back. Of course, they did. They fired every weapon they had. Soldiers died by the millions trying to stop the invasion. But the Vethrak were too strong. Their technology was too advanced. Their numbers were too great. Elena remembered her mother carrying her through burning streets. She remembered the sound of screaming that never seemed to stop. She remembered the smell of smoke and death that filled the air. The governments of Earth made a terrible choice. They could not win this war. They could only save who they could save. In secret, they had been building ships. Colony ships. Escape ships. Ships that could carry people far away from Earth. In the final days, these ships launched. They carried millions of humans into the cold darkness of space. They left behind billions more who could not be saved. Elena's mother had pushed her onto one of the last ships. Elena remembered reaching back for her, screaming. But the doors closed, and the ship rose into the sky, and Earth grew smaller and smaller until it was just a tiny blue dot in the darkness. The Vethrak did not chase them. They did not care about the refugees fleeing into space. To them, humanity was finished. Earth was theirs now. They renamed it. In their language, they called it the Grave of the Defiant Ones. They built their ugly buildings on top of human cities. They erased human history. They treated Earth like a trophy, a prize to show their power. But the Vethrak made a mistake. A terrible mistake. They thought humanity would scatter and die. They thought the refugees would fight among themselves, grow weak, and fade away into nothing. They did not understand humans at all. In the cold ships traveling through space, something happened to humanity. The different nations stopped fighting each other. The old hatreds and divisions began to heal. For the first time in history, all humans were united. They were united by loss. They were united by grief. And they were united by rage. The first generation built new homes on distant planets. They worked hard just to survive. But they never forgot Earth. They taught their children about it. They showed them pictures of blue oceans and green forests and cities full of life. They told them stories of what was lost. The second generation grew up with those stories burning in their hearts. They began to build. Not just homes, but weapons. Not just farms, but factories. They studied the Vethrak. They learned their weaknesses. They planned. The third generation trained. From the time they could walk, they trained for war. Every child learned to fight. Every scientist worked on new technology. Every factory produced weapons and ships. 300 years passed. Humanity spread across many worlds. They grew strong. They grew advanced. They grew patient, and they never stopped planning their return. Elena opened her eyes and looked at her granddaughter. Sophia was a soldier now. She wore the uniform of the United Human Fleet. Tomorrow, she would join thousands of other ships traveling to Earth. "The Vethrek think we forgot," Elena said, her voice weak but steady. "They think we moved on. They have no idea what is coming." She reached into her pocket and pulled out an old photograph. It showed a woman holding a baby girl. The woman was Elena's mother. The baby was Elena. Behind them was a park in a city called Madrid. "Bring this back to Earth for me," Elena said, pressing the photo into Sophia's hand. "Bury it there. In Madrid, where my mother died." Sophia took the photo. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She leaned forward and kissed her grandmother's forehead. "I promise," she whispered. "And I promise something else, grandmother. Not a single one of them will escape." "Not one?" Elena smiled. It was a hard smile, full of old pain and new hope. "Make them remember," she said. "Make them remember what happens when you try to kill humanity. Make them understand that we always come back. We always remember. And we never, ever forgive." Across the galaxy, 5,000 human warships began their final journey home. The Vethrek had no idea that death was coming for them. Admiral Yuki Tanaka stood on the bridge of the UHS Remembrance and looked at the massive view screen before her. It showed the gathering fleet, and the sight made her heart pound with fierce pride. 5,000 warships. 5,000 instruments of revenge. They had come from every human colony, from every corner of the galaxy where humanity had found a home. And now they floated together in the darkness of space, waiting for her command. Tanaka was 62 years old. She had spent her entire life preparing for this moment. Her grandfather had been a soldier on Earth during the invasion. He survived the escape and spent his remaining years training others. Her father had been a ship captain who mapped the routes back to Earth. Her mother had been a scientist who helped design the weapons they would use today. Every generation had done its part. Now it was her turn to finish the work. "Admiral," said Commander James Wright, her second in command, "all ships report ready. The fleet is assembled." Tanaka nodded slowly. She turned and looked at the faces around her. Young men and women, all of them born on colony worlds, all of them raised on stories of Earth. They had trained their whole lives for this day. Some of them would die today. They all knew it. None of them cared. "Open a channel to all ships," she said. "Channel open, Admiral." Tanaka took a deep breath. Across 5,000 ships, millions of soldiers and crew stopped what they were doing and listened. "My fellow humans," she began, her voice calm and steady. 300 years ago, our ancestors fled from Earth. They left in tears and pain. They left behind their homes, their cities, and the graves of those they loved. They left because they had no choice. The Vethrek gave them no choice. She paused, letting the words sink in. But our ancestors did not give up. They survived. They built new worlds. They raised children and taught them to remember. Generation after generation, we have carried the memory of Earth in our hearts. We have trained. We have prepared. We have waited." Her voice grew harder now, sharp as steel. "The waiting is over. Today, we go home. Today, we take back what was stolen from us. Today, we show the Vethrek and every other species in this galaxy what happens when you attack humanity." She could feel the energy rising across the fleet. Millions of hearts beating faster. Millions of hands gripping weapons tighter. The Vethrek think they won. They think Earth belongs to them. They have grown lazy and comfortable on our world. They have forgotten us. A cold smile crossed her face. Today, we remind them. Today, We teach them a lesson that the entire galaxy will remember forever. Humanity does not die. Humanity does not forget. And humanity does not forgive. She raised her fist. Our grandparents fled in tears. Our parents trained in silence. Today, we return in thunder. No mercy, no retreat, no survivors. For Earth, the response came back from 5,000 ships, a roar that seemed to shake the stars themselves. For Earth, Tanaka lowered her fist and turned to her navigation officer. Begin fold space calculations. We jump in 1 hour. The bridge erupted into activity. Officers shouted orders. Computers hummed with data. The great engines of the Remembrance began to power up. Tanaka walked to the window and looked out at the fleet. Somewhere out there, Sofia Vasquez was on her ship, carrying her grandmother's photograph. Somewhere out there, Marcus Cole was checking his weapons for the 100th time, ready to lead his Marines in the battle. Somewhere out there, millions of humans were saying prayers, writing final letters, and making peace with whatever might come. Commander Wright stepped up beside her. Admiral, intelligence reports the Vethrak garrison has approximately 200 ships and 500,000 ground troops. They have no idea we're coming. Good, Tanaka said. I want them surprised. I want them confused. I want them to understand, in those final moments, that they brought this upon themselves. Some will try to surrender, Wright said carefully. Some will beg for mercy. Tanaka turned to look at him. Her eyes were cold and hard. Did they show mercy to our children? Did they show mercy when they burned our cities? Did they show mercy when they hunted down survivors and killed them for sport? Wright shook his head slowly. Then they will receive what they gave, Tanaka said. Nothing. The hour passed quickly. Across the fleet, final preparations were made. Weapons were loaded. Armor was checked. Pilots climbed into their fighters. Marines assembled in drop pods. On the bridge of the Remembrance, a countdown appeared on the main screen. 10 minutes. 5 minutes. 1 minute. Tanaka sat in her command chair and gripped the armrests. Around her, the bridge fell silent. Every person watched the countdown. 30 seconds. 20. 10. Fold space engines engaged, the navigation officer reported. 5.4. 3.1. Space itself seemed to tear apart. A hole opened in the fabric of reality, and through it, 5,000 human warships plunged toward Earth. The Vethrak had 300 years to enjoy their stolen world. Their time was over. In the darkness of space. Above the blue and green planet that was once humanity's home, the sky was about to tear open. And from that tear would come vengeance. Pure, terrible, and complete. Humanity was coming home, and hell was coming with them. Overlord Kethran was eating his evening meal when the alarms began to scream. He was the commander of the Vethrak garrison on Earth. It was an easy job, a reward for his long years of service. Earth was a quiet world. Nothing ever happened here. The humans were gone, scattered across the stars like dust. They would never return. Or so he believed. A young officer burst into his chamber, his gray face twisted with fear. Overlord! Sensors are detecting massive spatial disturbances above the planet. Ketfran put down his food with a sigh. Spatial disturbances? Probably just a meteor shower. The sensors are always malfunctioning. Sir, you don't understand, the officer said, his voice shaking. The readings are unlike anything we have ever seen. The numbers are impossible. There must be some mistake. Kefran stood and walked to his command center, annoyed at having his meal interrupted. He would punish whoever had caused this panic, but when he looked at the sensor screens, his blood turned to ice. The sky above Earth was tearing open. Not in one place, but in thousands. And from each tier, ships were appearing. Human ships, Massive warships bristling with weapons. Carriers launching swarms of fighters. Dreadnoughts bigger than anything the Vethrak had ever built. 5,000 ships. An armada of revenge. For a long moment, Kethran simply stared. His mind could not process what he was seeing. This was impossible. Humans could not do this. Humans were primitive refugees. Humans were broken and scattered. Then the first missiles hit. The space around Earth exploded into chaos. Human weapons fired in perfect waves, hitting Vethrak defense platforms before their shields could activate. The platforms, which had stood for 300 years, vanished in balls of nuclear fire. All ships, engage. Kethran screamed. Launch all fighters. Raise all shields. Contact the homeworld. We need reinforcements. But the communications were jammed. Every frequency was blocked by a human signal. The same message played over and over again in every Vethrak language. We are the children of Earth. We have come home. You will not leave. The Vethrak fleet scrambled to respond. 200 warships powered up and moved to engage. Their commanders were experienced warriors. They had fought many battles. They believed they could hold until help arrived. They were wrong. Admiral Tanaka watched the battle unfold from the Bridge of the Remembrance. Her fleet moved with perfect coordination, each ship knowing exactly where to go and what to do. They had practiced this attack for decades. Every captain, every pilot, every gunner knew their role. Enemy fleet engaging, Commander Wright reported. They're trying to form a defensive line. Don't let them, Tanaka said calmly. Wolf pack formations. Surround and destroy. Human ships split into groups, each group targeting a section of the Vethrak line. They attacked from multiple angles, overwhelming the enemy's ability to respond. Vethrak ships tried to concentrate their fire, but there were too many targets, too many directions. A Vethrak cruiser exploded as 3 human destroyers hit it simultaneously. A carrier tried to launch its fighters but was torn apart by missiles before they could escape. One by one, the Vethrak ships died. On the planet below, Sofia Vasquez piloted her fighter through the chaos. She was part of a squadron assigned to hunt down any enemy ship that tried to escape. So far, none had gotten past them. Her grandmother's photograph was tucked inside her flight suit, next to her heart. Enemy destroyer braking for deep space, her wing commander announced. Sophia, take your group and intercept. Copy that, Sophia replied. She pushed her fighter forward, acceleration pressing her into her seat. The Vethrak destroyer was fast, but Sophia was faster. She caught up to it in minutes and opened fire. Her weapons tore through its engines, leaving it drifting and helpless. This is Lieutenant Sofia Vasquez, she said into her communicator, broadcasting on all frequencies. To the Vethrak ship. You are not leaving. You will never leave. This is for my grandmother. This is for Earth. She fired again. The destroyer exploded in a flash of light. Back in orbit, the battle was already ending. The Vethrak fleet was broken. Less than 50 of their ships remained, and they were surrounded. Some tried to fight. Some tried to run. None succeeded. Overlord Kethran stood on his burning bridge, watching his forces die. Around him, his officers lay dead or dying. His ship was crippled, drifting without power. A human voice came through his communicator. It was Admiral Tanaka. Overlord Kethran, your fleet is destroyed. Your defenses are gone. Surrender your forces, and I will grant your soldiers a quick death. Kethran laughed bitterly. Surrender? So you can execute us anyway. I know what you humans want. I know why you have come. Yes, Tanaka replied. You do. You knew this day would come. You have known it for 300 years. Every one of you knew that someday humanity would return. And now we have. We will fight to the last warrior, Kethron snarled. Good, Tanaka said. I was hoping you would say that. It makes what comes next much easier. She cut the communication. Begin ground assault, she ordered. Send them all. Marines, drop pods, everything. I want human boots on Earth within the hour. Across the fleet, thousands of drop pods launched toward the planet below. Inside each pod, human soldiers prepared for the next phase of the battle. The sky had been one dot. Now it was time to reclaim the ground. The Vethrak garrison on Earth had 500,000 soldiers. They were dug in. They were well armed. They thought they could hold. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Humanity had returned to Earth, and they were just getting started. Sergeant Marcus Cole felt the drop pod slam into the ground, and his teeth rattled in his skull. Red lights flashed. The door exploded outward. And for the first time in 300 years, a human soldier stepped onto the soil of Earth. He was standing in the ruins of what had once been Paris. Around him, more drop pods crashed down. His Marines scrambled out, weapons ready, forming a defensive circle. The air smelled wrong, too clean, too empty. The Vethrak had scrubbed away the smell of humanity. But not for long. Move out, Cole ordered. The command center is 2 kilometers north. Stay tight, stay sharp. His platoon advanced through the shattered streets. The old buildings were gone, replaced by ugly Vethrak structures, gray towers without windows, built for creatures who did not need light. But here and there, Cole could see traces of what had been. A broken fountain, a rusted street sign, the skeleton of an old church. His grandmother had been born in Paris. She had told him stories about it. Beautiful streets, wonderful food, people laughing and living and loving. All of it gone now. All of it taken. Cole gripped his rifle tighter. The first Vethrak patrol appeared around a corner. They were tall and gray, carrying long energy rifles. They saw the humans and froze for just a second, unable to believe what they were seeing. That second was all Cole needed. Open fire! He shouted. Human weapons roared. The sonic disruptors that scientists had designed specifically for this enemy sent waves of sound that cracked the Vethrak's crystalline armor like glass. The patrol fell without firing a single shot. Cole stepped over their bodies without looking down. Keep moving. All across the planet, the same scene played out. Drop pods fell like burning rain. Human soldiers poured out and attacked. The Vethrak tried to organize a defense, but they were caught completely unprepared. For 300 years, humans had studied the Vethrak. They knew everything about them. They knew their armor was weak against sonic frequencies. They knew their command structure was rigid and slow to adapt. They knew they could not see well in bright light. They knew exactly how to kill them. And now they were proving it. In Tokyo, a squad of Marines fought through the ruins of the old Shibuya district. The Vethrak had built a fortress there, using the bones of human buildings as a foundation. The Marines brought it down with targeted explosives and swept through the rubble, killing every enemy they found. In Cairo, hover tanks rolled through streets that had once held ancient pyramids. The Vethrak had knocked the pyramids down, using the stones to build their own monuments. Human soldiers spray-painted words on those monuments as they passed. We remember. In Mumbai, soldiers found something that made them stop. A building the Vethrak had preserved as a museum of human defeat. Inside were artifacts, flags, weapons, even bodies, preserved behind glass like trophies. The soldiers said nothing. They destroyed every display. They burned the building to the ground. And then they continued fighting with even more fury in their hearts. Back in Paris, Cole and his platoon reached the Vethrak command center. It was a massive structure, built on the spot where the Eiffel Tower had once stood. Hundreds of enemy soldiers defended it. Heavy resistance, one of his Marines reported. We'll need reinforcements. Negative, Cole said. We don't wait. We don't slow down. We go through them. He pulled a device from his belt, a new weapon designed for exactly this situation. It was called a sunburst grenade. When activated, it produced light as bright as a star for 3 seconds. Seal your visors, he ordered. Then he threw the grenade. The world turned white. The Vethrak screamed, their dark eyes burning from the light. They stumbled and fell, dropping their weapons, covering their faces. Cole's Marines charged. The battle for the command center lasted 20 minutes. It felt like hours. Cole lost 3 soldiers, good men and women who had trained their whole lives for this day. He would remember their names forever. But when it was over, the building was his. He climbed to the top and looked out at the city. Everywhere he looked, he saw fighting. Fire and smoke rose from a dozen locations. The sound of weapons echoed through the streets, but he also saw human flags rising. One by one, the Vethrak positions were falling. One by one, humanity was taking back its world. His communicator crackled. Sergeant Cole, this is Admiral Tanaka. Report. Paris Command Center is secure, Admiral. Heavy casualties on the enemy side. Minimal on ours. Good work, Sergeant. Similar reports coming in from all over the planet. The Vethrak ground forces are collapsing faster than expected. Cole allowed himself a small smile. They weren't ready for us, Admiral. They never expected us to come back. No, Tanaka agreed. They didn't. Continue your sweep. Find every enemy. Leave no survivors. Understood, Admiral. Cole looked at his remaining soldiers. They were tired and bloody, but their eyes burned with purpose. You heard the Admiral, he said. We're not done yet. Every Vethrak on this planet dies today. Every single one. For 300 years, they walked on our world. They slept in our cities. They raised their children where our children should have played. He raised his rifle. No more. Today, Earth becomes human again. Today, we finish what our ancestors started. Move out. His platoon followed him back into the streets. The ground battle would last for 2 more days. The Vethrak would fight hard, because they knew there would be no mercy. They would make the humans pay for every building, every street, every inch of ground dot, but in the end, it would not matter. Humanity had come home, and nothing in the galaxy could stop them now. On the 3rd day, the guns finally fell silent. Admiral Yuki Tanaka descended from orbit on a shuttle, watching Earth grow larger through the window. The planet was scarred. Smoke rose from 100 battlefields. Vethrak structures burned and crumbled. But beneath the damage, she could see the shape of her ancestral home. The blue oceans, the brown continents, the world her people had lost 300 years ago. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She did not wipe them away. The shuttle landed in what had once been the center of Paris. Human soldiers lined the streets, standing at attention as she walked past. They had won. Against all odds, against an enemy that had once seemed unbeatable. They had won. Overlord Kethran was waiting for her, held in chains by 2 Marines. His gray skin was covered in cuts and burns. His black eyes were dull with defeat. Around him stood the last survivors of his army, less than 1,000 soldiers. All that remained of 500,000. Tanaka stopped in front of him and looked into his face. Do you know why you lost? She asked quietly. Kethran said nothing. You lost because you did not understand us, Tanaka continued. You thought we would scatter and die. You thought we would forget. You thought time would weaken our rage. She shook her head slowly. Time did not weaken us. Time made us stronger. Every year, our hatred grew. Every generation, our determination deepened. You gave us 300 years to prepare. That was your mistake. Kethran finally spoke. His voice was rough and broken. What will you do with us? Kill us all? Murder prisoners of war? Show the galaxy that humans are no better than the species they defeated. Tanaka smiled coldly. Better? I don't care about better. I care about justice. I care about balance. I care about sending a message that will echo through history for 10,000 years. She stepped closer to him. You killed billions of our people. You burned our cities. You erased our history. You turned our world into a trophy and our name into a joke. And now you ask for mercy? Now you speak of rules and standards. She turned to the Marines holding him. Execute them all, she said simply. Every soldier, every officer, every Vethric on this planet. Make it quick. We are not cruel, but we are thorough. The executions took the rest of the day. The humans did not torture. They did not mock. They simply killed, one after another, until no Vethrak remained alive on Earth. Kethran was the last to die. He faced his death standing straight, refusing to beg. Tanaka respected him for that, in a way. He had been a worthy enemy. But that did not save him. When it was done, the bodies were burned. The smoke rose into the sky, a final marker of what had happened here. Then the wind carried it away, and the air was clean again. 3 days later, the first civilian ships arrived. They came from every human colony, carrying families who had waited their whole lives for this moment. They landed on fields and beaches and the ruins of old cities. They stepped out onto the soil of Earth, and they wept. Sofia Vasquez was among them. She had survived the battle. Her fighter had been hit twice, but she had brought it home. Now she walked through the streets of Madrid, carrying her grandmother's photograph. The city was destroyed, of course. Nothing remained of what it had once been. But Sofia had studied old maps. She knew where the park had been, the park where her grandmother's mother had died. 300 years ago, she found the spot. It was just empty ground now, covered in ash and rubble. But it was the right place. She could feel it. Sofia knelt down and dug a small hole with her hands. She placed the photograph inside, along with a letter she had written. Then she covered it with earth. We came back, grandmother, she whispered. We kept our promise. Earth is ours again. And they paid for what they did. Every single one of them. She stood and looked at the sky. Somewhere up there, her grandmother's colony ship was in orbit. Elena Vasquez was too old and weak to come down to the surface. But she was watching. Sofia was sure of it. All across Earth, similar scenes played out. Families finding the places their ancestors had come from. Soldiers planting flags on battlefields. Children running on grass they had never seen before. And above them all, a message was being sent. Admiral Tanaka had recorded it herself. It was transmitted on every frequency, in every language, to every corner of the galaxy. The message was simple. The message was clear. To all species of the galactic community, this is Admiral Yuki Tanaka of the United Human Fleet. 300 years ago, the Vethrak Dominion attacked our world. They killed our people. They drove us from our home. The galaxy watched and did nothing. She paused. Today, we have returned. Today, we have taken back our world. The Vethrak garrison has been completely destroyed. Not a single enemy escaped. Not one. Her voice grew harder. Let this be a lesson to all who would threaten humanity. We have long memories. We have patient hearts. We have the will to wait generations for our revenge. If you attack us, if you hurt our people, if you take what is ours, we will come for you. We will find you, and we will destroy you utterly. Another pause. Earth is ours again. It will remain ours forever. Any species that wishes peaceful relations with humanity is welcome to contact us. Any species that wishes to challenge us is welcome to try. But know this, we remember. We return. And we never ever stop. The message ended. Across the galaxy, 1,000 species received it. They watched the footage of the battle. They saw the human fleet appear from nowhere. They saw the Vethrak destroyed. They saw Earth reclaimed, and they understood. Humanity was no longer a broken refugee species, running and hiding among the stars. Humanity was a power. Humanity was a force. Humanity was something to be respected, something to be feared. On Earth, the rebuilding began. It would take generations. The damage was too great to repair quickly. But humans were patient. They had waited 300 years to come home. They could wait a little longer to make their home beautiful again. Admiral Tanaka stood alone on a hill overlooking the ruins of Tokyo. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of red and gold. It was the first sunset she had ever seen on Earth. It was the most beautiful thing she had ever witnessed. She thought about her grandfather, who had fought in the First War. She thought about her parents, who had dedicated their lives to this moment. She thought about all the generations who had carried the dream of return. "We did it," she said softly to the wind. "We came home. You can rest now. All of you can rest." Behind her, the lights of human camps began to flicker on. The sounds of voices and laughter drifted through the air. Children played in the rubble, already making it their own. Earth was human again, and it would stay that way forever. The day humans returned to Earth, not a single enemy escaped the aftermath. The galaxy would remember that. The galaxy would tell stories about it for thousands of years, and every story would end the same way. Never anger the humans. Never take what is theirs. Never believe they have forgotten, because they haven't. They never will.